Hi guys and welcome to today's tutorial. In today's lesson we're going to look at the chapter on economic inequalities, and we're going to focus on exploitation of a commodity. So commodities are always exploited, particularly in the south, in third world countries, and we're going to look at how coffee beans are exploited. So the first thing you need to know what is a commodity. Okay, so commodities are raw materials such as cash crops that are sold on the world market. E.g. coffee beans in Kenya. Okay, so commodities are raw materials such as such as cash crops. That are sold in the world market. An example would be coffee beans, and they are exploited in Kenya. Okay, so usually coffee is grown in the developing world. Okay, so in the south, and the reason for this is because it needs to be grown in like the tropics due to the specific climate requirements that it needs for its growth. And most countries, and in fact all countries along there, are actually developing economies. So I'll say grown in the developing world. The next point is, and that's because of the specific climatic requirements that's needed for the growth of the coffee beans. Coffee is the cash crop. Equals cash crop. The next point we'll make about coffee is that there's many large coffee plantations. So there's large coffee plantations. And millions of small farmers. Producing these coffee beans. The fourth point I'm going to look at is that over 20 million families depend on their income on coffee. Okay, so a huge proportion of the world actually depend and rely on their income to come from the coffee, the sale of the cash crop, the coffee beans. The coffee beans are exported and processed by the rich countries, which makes all the profits for the rich country, makes all the profits for the rich. Okay, so this shows the inequalities that exist. All the hard work of growing the coffee beans and extracting them and shipping them off, they're paid very little because it's a primary economic activity, and then they're just processed in like the rich countries, and then they're the ones that sell it and make the huge profits. So on the last point we're going to just mention here is that the growers, so the people who actually do all the hard work, receive very little of the profits. Very little of the profits. Okay, so we're going to look at the producers of coffee, okay? So you can see that nearly 20% of the world's coffee beans are produced in Central America. South America has almost half the total producers of coffee with 46.5%. Asia's got 17.8%. Africa is just under 16%. It's got 15.8%. And Oceania has got 1%, okay? So you can see that nearly the large majority of coffee beans are produced in developing countries, and we're going to look at where the profits actually go. Okay, so this shows us where the profits actually go. So where do the profits go for the coffee beans? So the growers, so all of these all these people here that in these countries that produce it, they only get 10% of the total value of the profits. 10% go to the exporters. A massive 55% goes to the shippers and the roosters, and a massive 25% go to the retailers. So you can see that the rich countries, which will be the ones that are shipping and the roosters and the retailers, they're getting 80% of the profits. When all the hard work is done by the growers and then the people that have to then to export it, they are only getting 20%. So the poor countries who are developing these cash crops, the coffee beans, are only getting around less than 20% of the actual profits. And this is a huge problem because this shows like the different economic inequalities. The poor have the commodity, yet the rich are the ones making all the profits from it. And this shows us a huge imbalance, and one of the reasons why the gap between the rich and the poor is increasing is because the rich are getting richer and the poor cannot catch them or keep up with them. So the gap between them is getting bigger. So that's it for today's tutorial. We looked at the exploitation of a commodity, and the commodity that we looked at was the coffee beans. And we looked at some of the characteristics about coffee, where it's grown. We looked at how many families are dependent on this cash crop of coffee beans, where they're exported to, and then we looked at who receives, who actually produces it, and then where all the profits go. If you enjoyed the video, can you please leave me some feedback. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can find out all the Junior Certificate examination videos for the Junior Cert course on my website examrevision.ie.